Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and I waited a couple episodes. I wanted to get as many submissions as possible, but I made a decision here, and it was totally random, but I did choose the best backstories that I could choose for each one of these prospects. So starting out with our first guy, Troy Almonte. He's going to be Elvis Aguila from Venezuela, and this guy had a great backstory. Good job putting these backstories in. You guys did a really good job. This guy's from Venezuela. He plays 3 outfield positions, so he's going to be all over, and his idol is Maglio Ordonez, and that's kind of unique because, you know, coming from Venezuela, he's played in the Winter League for Leones del Caracas, hitting .335, 10 home runs, and 34 RBIs this past winter. So he's going to be looking to become the next great MLB star. So look forward to Elvis Aguila in our outfield. I can't change the skin tone or anything yet, but for the next guy, D'Angelo Chance, we're going with Lucas Salih. So he's actually 5'11", long brown-haired, all-around infielder, and he's been all around the infield. He's kind of settled at third base, but definitely that's not his home. I mean, just for the time being, he's playing third base, but he's definitely a flexible player. He went to college at Kentucky for only 1 year. That's why he's only 19 years old. So he's going to be looking to make moves through our minor league system. Next up, probably one of our favorite stories here. Juan Baroa is going to be Bartolo Colon Jr., and it's pretty funny because Bartolo Colon is still in the major league, so there is a possibility that he could probably play with his son if he decided to, because look at Juan Baroa, aka Bartolo Colon Jr. He's 73 overall, B potential. He's only 18, but he's got great attributes, and maybe he'll play with his father one day, Big Sexy, so we'll see. So Pedro Castilla mainly dropped in the draft because of injury, because he's going to turn into Kingston Hill, a right-hander who tore his ACL in high school as a quarterback. So now he actually had the skills to be a pitcher. So he's trying his luck at the major league level, and he's got a good arm on him, and he's got an athletic background. So he's going to be a guy to look out for with 83 potential, B overall. 59 overall, B potential, and he's only 19, so he's got a lot of room to grow, so we'll see how he goes. So Howard Armas is actually going to be another guy that dropped in the draft because of injury, and he has 90 potential. And if you look at his attributes, he has pretty good stealing, A potential though, but he's going to be Ryan Johnson. He's a guy that's kind of been bounced around a little bit at the age of 20, and he had an injury which pretty much scared scouts away, to be honest. It scared scouts away, but we took a flyer on him late in the draft. So Ryan Johnson's going to be an outfielder. Hopefully he can develop into something really nice. Still a switch hitter, still throwing left-handed. So he's going to be pretty good coming up to the organization. So we'll see how he does. So Jeffrey Jones is going to turn into Brandon Rodriguez. And the thing about him is that he kind of has lower potential than everybody else, but he is 18. He is an outfielder, can play all 3 positions. But I think the reason why his potential is so low is because sometimes he just doesn't take the game seriously. He's kind of the jokester. He's kind of the clown in the classroom. I mean, he kind of doesn't have his head on straight, but hopefully if he straightens it out, maybe he can turn into something. But at 18 years old, it's definitely something that he can improve upon because he is young. He can get more mature, but hopefully he does turn into something. So Clarence Zimmer is actually going to turn into a guy named Trey Pearson. So he's a pretty good pitcher. He's 6'3", only 54 overall, but C potential. He's got good velocity, but he's a guy that's kind of slight of frame. He's kind of skinnier, but you know, he had a tough upbringing. He was kind of picked on coming up. He is older. He's 22 years old, but he's got 75 potential, so he's got room to grow. So hopefully in a few years he could touch the majors, but we'll have to see because it's going to be tough. I mean, especially with the young pitching staff we have in the minor leagues, it might be tough to touch the majors, but we'll see how he develops. So before hopping into some double A action for the first time this season, let's check out each position. So looking at catcher, Blake Anderson is a guy that's hitting 269 on the year, 22 years old. He's C potential at 59 overall, so he does have a lot of room to grow, but hopefully he develops into something because we do need some catching in our organization. Looking at first base, Jason Lundgren is a guy that has a lot of power. We met him at the prospect showcase. He's a good fielder. He has a lot of power, but he does leave something to offer with his contacting and his vision. So hopefully he can improve. He's got some room to grow as well. He's 22 years old, but he's got the power. So keep an eye on him coming up. But the man of the hour in AA, definitely a guy that is going to compete for a roster spot at the MLB level next season, is Hassan Diaz. I mean, he can do it all. What can't he do? He is just improving all across the board. Look at him. I mean, just all across the board. He is an all-around guy. He's only 21 years old, out of Puerto Rico, and he made the All-Star team. He's leading AA in home runs up to this point. So nothing but bright future for him. Looking at third base, we do kind of have a competition here. So we have James Nelson, who's 62 overall C potential, and then Eric, I don't even know how to say that, Jagilo. He's hitting 269 on the year, 56 overall. He's kind of older, 25, so I don't know if he'll touch the majors at all. But looking at shortstop here, we do have Eric Torrijos, who was that guy who we met at the prospect showcase. I like what he has, what he brings to the table. He's a shorter guy. He's 5'10", but he's got the speed. He's got some pretty good speed for a 20-year-old, 76. So look out for him as a shortstop coming up in the ranks. Looking at our outfielders, so one guy I'm really looking forward to playing with is Max Liebum, and he's one of the guys we saw at our showcase. He's 63 overall, C potential, 23 out of Wisconsin. And Austin Dean was actually an all-star, and he's a 63 overall, 24-year-old outfielder as well. So we're going to see some good things from them. And then in right field, we'll see Sean Little. And Sean Little is a guy that we're pretty excited about. He's got good speed, 86. I do want to see his hitting improve quite a bit. He's got to add some strength to his frame, but right now he's hitting only 205. So hopefully he gets better. And looking at our pitching staff, we're going to see Braxton Garrett in this game, and mainly because he's the guy that is the closest out of anybody, AA or AAA, as far as our prospects to making it to the major leagues. And he actually is at the major league level in real life, but I want to get him some development. He's only 20 years old, so no rush. I mean, there's absolutely no rush with him. He has a great running fastball. He can improve with his hits per nine and strikeouts per nine, but I do like what I see from him. Eliezer Hernandez is definitely the brightest guy as far as coming out of the pen right now in our organization. He is just great. I think he's going to be awesome. 81 strikeouts per nine. He might be our future closer. You never know. Trevor Rogers as well. He's our top prospect as far as pitching goes. And he's a lefty, and he's 20 years old, and I like what he's doing. He's improved quite a bit so far. As you can see, he went up +3 in hits per nine, and we might see Nomar Gonzalez in this game as well. He's a guy that we saw at the prospect showcase. He is a relief pitcher, 119 whip, so he's actually doing pretty well, but his strikeout to walk ratio is not as good as what I want it to be. It's at 23 and 16, so hopefully he does have a good outing if he comes in from the bullpen. And then Dylan Peters is a guy that he's not going to be seen in this game probably, but he's a trade chip. I mean, let's be honest. He's a trade chip. He's another lefty in our organization, so we don't really need another lefty. We have two already, and another one coming in from the draft. So let's just hop into this gameplay with the AA squad. Let's see how they do. Let's see what we got cooking in our AA system. So let's get into it. Let's go. So this game is going to feature the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp and the Mobile Bay Bears, and we're going up against Nate Smith, who's going to get the mound for Mobile in this game. So starting out, leading the game off is Eric Torrijos, one of the shortstops that we scouted in that prospect showcase. So in his first at bat, he's going to hit one up the middle. And one thing that impressed me about his stats, you see that at the bottom, he has 15 stolen bases, and that's what we've been looking for, some speed. At the MLB level, we don't have a lot of base stealers, so he and Sean Little are probably the speediest guys that we have at the AA level. So let's see if they can hit a little bit. So here's Austin Dean coming to the plate, 22 RBIs up to this point, 3-0 count. He's going to hit one hard up the middle, and that one is going to be a hit to center field. So now we got guys on first and second for the Jumbo Shrimp, and Jason Lundgren, the power hitting first baseman, is going to come up, but he's going to swing at one in the dirt, but the catcher's going to come up throwing, and Torrijos is going to get thrown out at third base. So that is going to be the end of the first inning. So like I said, Braxton Garrett's going to get the ball in this game. 45 strikeouts to 15 walks. I like that ratio. I like what I'm seeing from him. He's probably the closest prospect we have to the MLB level, and he's probably the number 2 prospect as far as pitching in our organization goes. We do need a little bit of help, because after Braxton Garrett and a couple of other guys, we kind of fall off quite a bit. There's no guys that we have maybe down the road that are possibly top guys, except for the guys that we got in the draft. Those are the exception, but the guys that we have in our organization right now, we don't really have a bright future. Our farm system isn't great. It's just meh. I mean, it's not okay. It's not even average. I think it's below league average pretty much. So here's James Nelson, a third baseman who is actually the number 9 prospect in real life in the Miami Marlins system. And right away, he's getting a hit up the middle here in the second inning. So maybe he's a guy to look out for. So here's Blake Anderson, actually in at catcher. He's only 21 years old. So here he is drawn the walk here in the second inning. And next up comes Chad Wallach as a guy. And he's a guy that actually plays at the MLB level in real life, but he's just not good enough in this game to reach the MLB level. He's only 59 overall. So here is Braxton Garrett back on the mound in the second inning, continuing where he left off, striking out a guy on a pitch in the dirt, and then one more time that running fastball of his. It's deadly. I mean, that thing is just moving. I was very, very impressed by him. He's pitched 4 innings, struck out 5 guys, gave up no earned runs, so he had a pretty good game. But here's Eric Torrijos getting another hit down the right field line. This time it's going to be a double. So now he's on second base with Hassan Diaz coming up, and this is what I'm talking about with Hassan Diaz. He has the power to drive in runs. He hits the ball hard up the middle that time, and that one is going to be the first run across the plate for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. So here's Austin Dean coming up to hit one more time, and he is going to hit one to the right side. So now we got guys on first and second, no outs here in the third inning, and Jason Lundgren is going to come up, and he's got power at the plate, so he's going to get an off-speed pitch, but he's going to get just a little bit of that one. It's going to be a little dribbler back to the pitcher, but it is going to advance the runner. So here's Sean Little, another guy we found at the Prospect Showcase in Jupiter, Florida, but here is on a 2-2 fastball. He can't handle it. That's going to be up in the zone, so he's going to swing and miss at that one. So here's Max Liebum, another guy we found at the Prospect Showcase, and he's going to pop one up into the infield. So that's going to be 3 outs here in the third inning, and I want to keep an eye on this James Nelson guy. I mean, he's our number 9 prospect, but he's got C potential. He's only 62 overall, but he's 20 years old. I mean, he's got a lot of room to grow. If you look at him, he's got good arm strength for a 20-year-old. He's got good all-around hitting attributes. So here he is in the 4th inning, hitting one to the right center gap, and he's got okay speed as well. It's not great. It's not horrible. But you know what? I like what he's done so far in this game as he slides into third base with the triple. I like what he's done so far. So here is Chad Wallach coming to the plate, and all he had to do is just hit it and play with 1 out. And that's what he does. He drives in the run here. So now it's a 2-run lead for the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. So now Nomar Gonzalez, another guy we found at the Prospect Showcase. He is 6-2 up to this point. And I want to see what he's got. I mean, I want to see this guy grow. I want to see all these guys grow. A lot of these guys would see potential. I don't know how good they're actually going to be until a few years, because you never know. A lot of C potential guys do progress up to a B potential, and some B potential guys progress down to C potential. And there you can see Nelson showing off the leather too. So he is just impressing up to this point. And I like what I see from him this game. So here's Blake Anderson, another prospect of ours in the organization. He's hitting one deep to right field here in the 7th inning. And he's starting out the inning here with a hit down the line. He's rounding second, heading to third. He's not that fast, but since it was in the right place, he makes it into third base, sliding in there with a triple. So now here comes Chad Wallach once again up to the plate, and he hits another one into right field, and that one's going to drive in a run here. So it is 3-0 for the Jumbo Shrimp And good sign from Chad Wallach. I mean, he's a guy that probably has a long shot of making the MLB, but he's doing okay. So here's Torrijos back up to the dish, and he grounds out to third base, but he does beat out the double play. So now there's a guy on first base, Asan Diaz, coming up. I want to see some power from him, but he just misses it, pops it up. He goes 1 for 4 in this game. He does drive in that 1 run earlier, but maybe just an off game from him. So here's Austin Dean coming up. He's not having an off game. He's 2 for 3 to this point. He's going to hit one to right field, and that one is going to be in the same spot as before, but it's going to take a bounce right back to the right fielder. But Torrijos is on his horse, and he slides in safe here, and another run comes through. And you know what? Our AAA team has a lot more power than this AA team, but I do like how this AA team runs the bases, especially with Torrijos. I like his speed on the base pass. So here's Elise Hernandez, and he's actually in this game. I rated him as the number 9 prospect because he's our top relief pitcher. So I like what he brings to the table. He's got high velocity. His pitches, he does need to control a little bit more, so I need to work on his control a little bit. But he did pretty good. He didn't give up any runs. So here's Miguel Del Pozo here to close out this game, and here he is in the 9th inning with 1 out. Hitting a grounder to Torrijos is the batter, but Torrijos just does not have the arm strength to throw out the runner at first. And maybe that's something that, you know, if he does make it to the next level, even gets a promotion, he might have to change positions because his arm at shortstop is just not good enough. So maybe he'll develop that arm strength, but right now it's not looking like it. It looks like he might be more of a second baseman, if anything. So now Del Pozo is getting into a little bit of a jam here with a deep fly ball to right field to Sean Little, and he's going to field it, come up throwing, but that run is going to be way safe. So now there's 2 outs in the 9th inning. We only need to stop them from getting 1 more run. We need to get out of this little jam. So here's a ground ball to end the game to Asan Diaz. But look, he bobbles it and then takes his time throwing it to first base. So now we allow a guy on first base here. I want to see what this young pitcher's got, but he gives up another hit, and I just do not want to risk it. So who do I bring in? I bring in our top pitching prospect. He's a starting pitcher, but here he comes. Trevor Rogers, 7-3. He's got a pretty good strikeout to walk ratio, 84 strikeouts. So he comes in with 2 outs, 3-1 count, and he gets the runner to ground out to Torrijos, and that is going to be the game. Nice game. I liked what I saw. You know, I think we do need help though, because our power hitting was just not there. We did compile 10 hits, but I felt like we didn't have any power at the plate really. We had a couple of extra base hits, but it was just because the placement was right on them. I did like what I saw from James Nelson. He definitely surprised me. He definitely impressed me. So that's a guy to keep your eye on throughout this series, because I want to see what he can develop into. He's a C potential guy, but he's actually a high C potential guy. He's like 79, 78 potential. So he could possibly turn into a B potential guy. So we'll see. So hit subscribe, hit that like button, because, you know, the future's looking bright, but I definitely think I need some help at the AA system for sure. At certain positions, we definitely have some holes. So you don't want to miss the next coming weeks, because we're going into All-Star break, going into the trade deadline. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned. Let's go.